Perfect.
Howard, can we
welcome everybody to CRE Radio and TV. I'm going to cut you off, Linda. Welcome everybody to see it. We're recording, Linda. Welcome to CRE Radio and TV. And today we're going to be talking about the survey that the broker list and Build Out did. And I have on the show so that you can ask questions. You can ask questions on the live chat on the right-hand side, or you can actually hop on if you're on Blab and sit in the seat and be seen and heard and ask questions and all of that, which is really, really cool. But before we do that, we are going to first give our station identification, and we'll be right back. Let's see how this works.
We're pioneers.
Yeah, we're pioneers. And here we go. Wow.
Yeah.
So cool. Did everybody hear that?
Just like TV.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'll just run commercials now because I'm having so much fun. So I have Linda Day Harrison from the broker list and Eva. And you know how I remember that? Because I said forever.
There you go.
And that is such a New York statement because forever in New York, we just say forever. Forever.
Exactly.
Forever. We're doing this forever with Build Out. And why don't you, Linda, take just about 30 seconds to describe what TBL is or the broker list, and then we'll go to Eva and ask her what Build Out is.
Well, the broker list is a community of verified commercial real estate brokers, and we have a blog, and we do tons of social media stuff, and we just help everybody meet each other and share their content. That's what we're about.
Yeah, Linda's one of my favorite people, by the way.
You're so sweet, Howard. Thank you, Howard. Thank you, guys. You're so nice.
And Eva, see, I'm not even hesitating now. I've got this down.
You got it.
Eva Baska. And
yes.
Eva, now, where are you from? What's your heritage?
I'm Polish. So my name is EWA, but the W is pronounced like a V. So it's Eva.
See, I thought it was German, and I thought it was Eva. And I'm going, it's a W because I know my grandparents would have pronounced it as a V.
Right.
I almost missed. Would you tell us what Build Out is?
Absolutely. So Build Out is a marketing software for commercial real estate brokerages. So we help automate the marketing material creation process, and then we also streamline the whole property listing process, meaning we can syndicate to all the listing sites. We could push all of your property listings to the broker list or other listing sites, as well as we create property websites and all the documents needed for all marketing purposes.
Outstanding. Now, today we are going to be talking about their survey that they did. They collaborated on a survey that they've titled the DNA of CRE. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up on the screen. See, you're all, everybody here who's watching this, you are guinea pigs, because this is a new thing with Blab where I can run videos and commercials and share my screen. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about and we're going to share here is the not an infomercial. It's what do you call this?
Infographic.
Infographic. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm getting a little old, so maybe I'm losing a bit. But we have an infographic here, which we're going to talk about, and what we're going to. Well, who would like to go first? Maybe I'll start with. No, Linda's shaking her head. She's going no.
No, I don't care.
Why don't you describe what it is that you intended to accomplish by this survey?
Absolutely. So the DNA of CRE is just that. We really aimed to try to understand the makeup of the commercial real estate industry. So we went on a mission to survey brokers in brokerages and to really figure out how do they spend their day, what do they care about, what tools do they usually use, and really to try to dig deep into what our industry is comprised of. So we did a survey mostly through social media and email marketing, and we launched it for about a month, a couple of weeks. And then we compiled all the results and created this infographic here. And Linda did share a post on the right side where the live chat is. There was an article that was published by the RE Journals, Real Estate Journals, that did a piece about the results. So you could read that as well as just listen in to what we have to say today.
Well, why don't we dig a little bit into some of the details? Let's get right into it. Here it says seller reps, 28%. What was the question that you asked? And was there anything here that surprised you or you felt was significant? Linda, why don't you answer that?
The question was, what role do you spend the most time in? So our audience is commercial real estate brokers, and it is a real common question we get from people all the time asking us what roles are most brokers in, or what do they do, you know, that kind of a thing, because there's a lot of misconception on commercial real estate in general. I think that it is extremely specialized, and this kind of proves that point. According to our survey, 28%, only 28% are seller reps. So when you think about that, seller reps are people that have listings. So 28% in 2015 spent most of their time doing listings. So all the rest of the respondents, almost half of, or that same figure was tenant reps. So tenant reps are the people that represent tenants going to the landlords in leasing, typically. That was a split. That was an even split. That was pretty interesting. In other words, when you think about the industry, and then it goes down from there. I don't want to read all the different breakdowns, but you know, basically it was almost even head to head, seller rep and tenant rep.
Well, was this an either or were you able to determine whether or not the brokers work both sides of the deal? Not necessarily at the same time, but I would imagine, and this is my experience, that a listing agent, or as you refer to it as a seller rep, a lot of times they put up signs in front of the buildings so that they can capture people looking for space. As a matter of fact, when I was a broker, I would walk buildings in Manhattan that were 50, 60 stories tall saying, I've got a tenant who's looking for additional space, and do you have any additional space to sublet? And they would call me back and they would say, yeah, I got some additional space to sublet. And then I'd start looking for the sublessee. So, we work both sides of the deal. You want as much business as you can. So were you able to tell that from the survey?
Well, the point of the survey, and I want to focus on this, it's really important, was we were trying to understand the year 2015 in the industry. So the question was, what role do you spend the most time in 2015? Now that answers your question. What hat were you wearing?
The majority.
So for 2015, the majority, the biggest number was 28% were listing properties. So that's what I think is interesting. Now, as far as what they do, I think you're right, Howard. I mean, if you're a commercial real estate broker and you put a sign on a property, that's because you have the listing. Now, I understand what you're saying when you're hoping to get more business from that sign, but that's not why you put the sign up. You put the sign up because you're an agent for that owner selling that or selling or leasing that property primarily.
No, that's
would you get lucky? Would you get lucky and have a tenant walk in without a broker? Maybe. But I mean, I don't think that's the reason.
I disagree with you. Most of the brokers that I know, it's a marketing piece for themselves, and they'll leave that sign up if they can, whether there's space in the building or not. And while I'm assuming that there are brokers who are exclusively listing agents or brokers who are putting that sign up because they're trying to market space within that building, and that is their primary purpose. I mean, you'd have to, in essence, if you do a survey again, I would be curious, and I know that you have a list of questions that you want to ask on future surveys, but I would be really curious to see how many people are exclusively tenant reps, how many people are exclusively landlord reps or seller reps, and how many people share and what percentage. See, this you don't really know that, but I think that right. It's important. And as I said, from my experience, it's probably more of a marketing piece that listing agents, I want as much as a listing agent. I want as much signs up as possible so that I get name recognition. It's branding for me. It's branding for the brokerage, and it's branding for me personally. So I don't know. Be that as it may.
I'd love to hear from brokers if anyone's listening on Howard's point. I just know that when I talk to tenant reps, that's all they do is tenant representation. My husband was a tenant rep broker. He never took listings. I mean, he just never did. I mean, he did his one thing and that was it. So, I mean, I think if you manage and lease a property and you put a sign up, that is your calling card for that property. And it's common that you would have a sign up, but I don't know of a lot of landlords that put a sign up to hope to get business if they don't have space available. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not from that. Different. I'm from a major metropolitan market and big high rises. So, we wouldn't put a sign up if we didn't have vacant space.
Wouldn't put up a sign if you didn't have vacant space. But you would put up the sign if you had vacant space, and you just might not take it down as quickly.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I guess it's a good question to ask a broker.
For some people, that's going to be an ethical issue. And for and particularly for people who are exclusively tenant reps.
Right.
Because there's a larger group of those people who, hold out to the rest of the world that there's an ethical issue, a conflict of interest issue.
I think what you're bringing up a good point. Eva, help me on this. Maybe we're overlooking something because remember Barbie Reuter had suggested we ask about gender. She said, Linda, when you do the survey next time, ask about gender. That ties into what you're saying, Howard. So maybe our snapshot here was 2015. I don't even want to utter these words. Maybe we tackle a survey that is not based on a year of activity, but based on a real profile of the people rather than just the 2015 market, which this
I can't tell you what you should do, but it's live and learn. You do something and you learn from it and you go, hey, I could have asked these other questions. If anybody right now, we can only use 4 windows, so to speak. We're using our 4th to share my screen. So at least for the time, I'm noticing some people, including Ryan Dennis, who's on. If you'd like to get on, we'll give you the opportunity in a little while. And if you have any questions on the live chat on the right-hand side of your screen, what you should do is type in /Q, and then you ask your question or give your comment, or you can just give your comment and I'll notice it and I'll read it into the record. Oh, I sound so much like a lawyer. And then also, by the way, you can direct your question to someone in particular. So if you have a question for Linda or Eva, what you can do is you can first type in the ampersand and then their Twitter handle. And that way you get to ask your question or your comment directly to them. And it would be the same for me. So we're actually going to take a short break and we're going to run Very short commercial. Again, you people who are watching and listening are guinea pigs because we're adding all this new stuff. So if I get a little carried away because I'm excited.
We only did one question, Howard.
Yeah, Howard, we haven't even gotten through the
we're going to do it
survey.
pretty quickly. So why don't we just hold on? Linda, you're not going to complain about this because this is your commercial.
There you go.
No, but I don't need a commercial.
Oh, that's true. I'm not sure that you really do. So why don't we take a break for the people who are our supporters?
All right. I hope it's got good music, Howard.
The Broker List, the CRE online platform for finding brokers, deals, services, and vendors. And Quantum Listing is the new mobile crowdsourcing.
Yay! David!
I hope you're watching because we're unable to record this with that material in there. All right, so let's go back and let's leave a seat open. So if anybody wants to join in, just click on the open seat and you can do so. So I'm going to look at it. The next thing on the list here is retail office is 26%. Eva, who did I ask the first question to? Was it Eva or Linda?
I'll take this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take that one. What was the question? What did you come up with and what may have surprised you?
Absolutely. So similar to the first question, which is which role did you spend the most time in? We again tried to take a snapshot of your 2015 year, and we asked which property type did you sell or lease the most of in 2015? And there was a tie with retail being 26 and office space being 26. So that wasn't very surprising. I think, Linda, you could chime in also. I think we were, not very surprised. Like, it makes sense. It also makes sense in terms of the economy where people are hiring more, just companies are hiring more, they're leasing more space, retail is booming. So I think spending a lot of time selling and leasing those spaces made sense as a majority answer.
What was the other 48%?
Absolutely.
I know it was Ted Cruz and Kasich.
And everyone else, right?
That's right. The other 15 other candidates.
Right.
What were the other 48%?
So we had industrial 24%, multifamily 11%, land 7%, and then special purpose, hospitality, student housing, medical, single tenant net lease all got 1 or 2%.
A little crystal ball here, Linda. Do you have any thoughts as to whether or not, and if anybody else has a comment on this, please let us know. You have any thoughts on if this is going to change for 2016?
Oof. Well, I was really surprised that office was that neck and neck. Yeah, I was surprised office was up there because industrial was only 2 points under. It was 24% industrial, 26 retail, and 26 office. It was an almost even split between those three. But I was surprised office was that high. My crystal ball would say more than likely, with all the things you're hearing about in the media about retail, a lot of stores closing, maybe retail is gonna go down, and I think industrial might go up. Though that would be my prediction.
Multifamily might go up a little bit too.
Just from what you hear.
Yeah, I think multifamily is going to be very healthy. If you own multifamily, it's going to be a nice 3 to 5 years. I think that the sale transactions are going to slow down in multifamily. I think that we're getting near the top of the price range in most markets, and you can give or take that. In retail, there may be, and this is for consideration, a lot of the closings are big
big box stores. Huge.
Yeah, well, the big box. So,
Big
yeah,
walls.
yeah. I mean, these are really big things. So it's possible that we may not see the drop off because they may be looking for ways to split some of these big boxes, so the leasing transactions may increase because they're going to have to do something about those, and it may it may create multiple transactions where a Macy's location. I mean, if there was a Macy's location, there were no sale or lease transactions for the longest time. Now all of a sudden, there will be.
I was just reading a blog post by Hightower saying how, now this isn't retail, but it is office, how all of these suburban huge campuses, like an Abbott Laboratories, used to be in the suburbs, and now they're all migrating to the cities. And I know that happened in Chicago. I have friends that work at Kraft, Discover Card. Everyone is moving from the suburbs into Chicago. And now there's all this space in the suburbs, all these hundreds of thousands of square feet that are now vacant, and they don't know what to do with it. And they're trying to push it into a multifamily, trying to make it complexes, but yet, you know, there's a lot of rules and regulations around it. So right now, a lot of these buildings are vacant. So it's definitely a problem with all these closures.
Yeah, Coy Davidson just wrote a blog post that talks about the 5 greatest myths in real estate. And one of the things that he was mentioning is that, you know, the suburban office market, as an example, is, you know, it's not dying, and not everybody's going to office concept, and the press, so to speak, of the media would make it believe that everybody's going into the urban core, and the urban cores are generally doing well. I mean, I wish that I could. The problem is this: I wish that I could afford to live in an urban core. And, you know, because I'm getting older, I don't want to have a car, and I'd like to be able to get around. But there aren't a lot of urban cores that allow for good transportation, not just walkability, but good public transportation, and that are also affordable. So I wouldn't get so caught up with, you know, the suburbs hurting that much, and maybe some of the suburban malls that are not doing that well are going to disappear. We have, if I can find my cursor, a person calling in. So why don't we see about...
You guys, I want to make note of his comment.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Eva, for the survey, you know how we talked about profiles of people? I think it'd be good to know if people are urban or suburban brokers. That would be another good one too.
And,
you know, do they work in a big metropolitan area?
I'm trying to bring in Gev Alexetyan, and he's not coming in. Sometimes we have problems. Gev is trying to get on, and there's some reasons for that. Gev, if you're using Chrome or Firefox, you should be able to get on. If not, it won't let you on if you're using Internet Explorer. So for anybody who's watching who wants to get on, you got to be using Chrome and Firefox, and you have to understand that Blab is still in beta. So there are some issues, one of which is on my Mac, which is just to the right of me. I can't use Chrome on Blab, and on my PC that I'm using right now. And by the way, the Mac works with Firefox for some reason. So I'm going to try to get Gev in here again because he is trying really hard to get on here. And
Yeah,
so
and
let's see if
there we
whoa, nice chin. Okay. And Gev, you're on.
Did you have a question?
You have a question? Doesn't appear. Gav, are you there?
All right.
Okay. Sorry, Gav. Yeah. Sorry, Gav. You might have been testing out, and the beauty of part of this is I get to push the eject seat. I hope you didn't get hurt by that.
Thanks.
All right,
Well, I didn't recognize him. I don't know who, I didn't even know who it was.
It doesn't have to be. I was planning on doing some tests with the videos and stuff yesterday, and I noticed that there's someone that I know, I'm familiar with on Twitter and on Blab, who does a lot of the Blab. Everybody was on talk. They were techie people talking about how to use Blab and make changes, etc. So I ended up being on that for 45 minutes, and I'm embarrassed. It was really sticky. It was a bunch of Blab geeks talking about all the things that they've been learning. So if you want to learn how to use Blab, it's a great way, is just stepping on and seeing what other people are doing. And it was fun.
Well, I think you're being a leader in this, Howard. You're showing everybody how it works, and I think it's very powerful.
I'm not sure if I'm a leader.
I think so.
But you are.
Troll, maybe. Yeah, might have been a troll. That was
maybe.
Ellison. Oh, San Jose. Eli San Jose. Ellis San Jose.
Yeah.
Ellis San Jose. My daughter's going to Santa Cruz next year, so she'll be real close to you. Okay, let's go on to the next question, and I am going to share the screen again. So let's bring that baby up. Okay, and here we are. All right, so on the next question is 31% United States and South. What does that mean? And what was the question, and what did you mean by that, Linda?
The question was, where did most of your business come from? And again, I keep reiterating that the survey was about their business in 2015, and we wanted to know not where they were, but where did the business come from? So 31% said the South, and then from that point, it went to 24% Midwest and 24% West. So it was pretty evenly split between South, Midwest, and West. Northeast was a smaller percentage, which makes sense. It is a smaller area, 13%. Then national business was 4%, Canada was 3%, and then international was 1%. So it, basically is telling us where their business came from.
And it makes sense. South is the biggest chunk of land.
Well, this begs a question, doesn't it? And we're going to get to your question in a second, Ryan. This begs a question: is do you know who you asked? I mean, is it 31% of the people that you asked were from the South? In which case, yeah, that makes kind of sense, because most people work within a geographic limited area. So, it seems to me that in order to understand that answer or that number, you need to know who the people were and where they were from. It would be interesting to see if, only 25% of the brokers that responded are from the South, but 31% of the business was from the South.
Right.
That might be telling to me.
Absolutely. And that's something that we talked about for future questions. We also, this being the first survey, we tried very hard to limit the amount of questions asked. We really tried to be as short and concise and get as many overarching themes and insights as we can into a very small subset of questions. So there was a few questions at the end that were optional, that you could give a little bit more information about yourself. I mean, our next question here is about your commissions. So we tried to keep this anonymous so that no one, that people do give truthful answers. But yeah, so absolutely in the future, I think we'll try to make maybe a 2-part survey or something to expand on these insights.
Well, I would think that if you ask too many questions, people aren't going to participate.
Right, which is why we didn't want to. Absolutely. Yeah. So we were one page.
And we know they're busy. Yeah. They're busy.
Well,
and nobody likes surveys.
They don't want to do it.
Yeah. So let's get to just skip this. This really is a little bit off topic, but Ryan Dennis is asking a question that I'll read online. And the only reason why I'm doing it is I like this guy. I know him personally.
Me too.
He worked with us.
Probably awesome.
the CRE Tech Intersect in Los Angeles, and he's both a talented and really nice guy. So his question is, this is probably for me to answer. He says he's blushing. Yeah, I that might be difficult to tell, Ryan. Is commercial real estate marketing moving towards video and live streaming in the same way it is for other industries? If so, what does this mean for all of the CRE marketing teams trying to gain an edge? Actually, before I answer, if Linda or Eva, if you'd like to try to jump in, and then I've got an opinion on this, but either one of you two.
I think I want to say tools, but I think platforms like Snapchat are creating it. I mean, that would be my only answer to that. I think people are trying to use it. I'm on Snapchat. It's like a ghost town in there. There's very few commercial real estate people in there right now, but I think they're trying to use it. I think it's interesting, and I think it makes sense because it's efficient, especially live streaming. That would be my answer. I don't think they're moving towards it though at this point. I mean, they're not even on Twitter yet. That's my
Yeah, and we could get into that down the road with questions. I can't speak to live streaming, but Build Out is a marketing platform for brokerages. So we work directly with CRE marketing teams, and we help make them efficient in terms of creating their materials and then posting all of their property listings all over the internet and things like that. And what we are seeing is that there are definitely more brokerages that are using video in terms of tours and things like that to include in their property listing websites and on their own website. And so we're definitely seeing a trend move towards that. It's less so coming from the smaller independent shops, the smaller teams that might not be able to afford the technology or don't have the right resources to edit video, but definitely from the big guys, we're seeing marketing teams free up their time on the menial admin tasks that they used to spend most of their time in. And now they're moving towards projects like video or advertising or social media where they couldn't do that before. So I do think it's moving towards that, but it's slow.
My other comment on that is, as a consumer myself, I think that video is awesome. And I think if you are in business and you can deliver video to your customer, I think it gives you a very strong competitive advantage. Because if you anything you buy or order or whatever, the first thing I do is I go online. I go online to either see how it's used or see how they put it together or see how it functions. I want to see a video. I don't want to open the plastic pouch and read through the manual, I'll be honest with you. Even though I'm a manual type reader, I love to read. I'd rather watch the video. So why not apply that in our business? I think it's very powerful. And I love
the buyer side, right? So now I can go and I can view it on my own time. I don't have to go talk to anyone to get all the information I needed. I don't have to schedule a time to see something. Like, it really puts more power on the buyer's side. So I think it's powerful.
Right.
Howard.
Yeah, I'd like to add, obviously, I'm very much into the video and the live streaming, but it's lonely here. For commercial real estate, it's lonely. I think it's definitely the future. Yeah. And I'm hoping that people will learn from my mistakes and the things that I do correctly and start adopting it. And I think that there's still a huge misunderstanding of how to use video and the difference between advertising and content. Mm-hmm. You know, I do primarily content. I do very little advertising, and I don't think that the general commercial real estate public understands that. With that being said, I think where we're going to see the biggest push into video is describing space, viewing space. I really see that for some of the more creative types, they're going to be walking through space with their iPhone or whatever, and doing a blab you know, with their iPhone, doing well. We're doing, and you have any questions about this, and actually getting it out to or Periscope, where it's one to many, where Blab kind of allows for the interview process.
I like the market tours. I love the market tours. I've seen NAI Hiffman, it's a Chicago company, do some fabulous market tours. The broker takes you out into the market and shows you, you know, this building, and then talks about it. Goes to the next building and talks about it. I think those are fabulous. Yeah. I mean, when I was in business, my God, you'd have to walk around and, you know, drive around and see all these properties, or take your client to see all these properties. Now it's on video.
Yeah, and what's good about that is that's really content marketing, and it's part of what it is that you need to do. I mean, you need to know your market. So you're going to be out touring space anyhow. Yeah. So if you're going to do it, why don't you present it to the whole world? And then people are going to call you about that space, even though it's not your listing. Yeah. And I don't see any problem with that. Ellis up in San Jose says, do you see any legal compliance issues that need to be addressed when utilizing more streaming technology in CRE? As an attorney, I see a bunch of ethical issues that I have to be cognizant of, and I pay attention to those issues when I have other attorneys on. I don't want to see anybody trip up and make mistakes. For a real estate broker, I suppose there might be some, but I don't see that right now as a major issue.
I want to know what you mean by that, Alice. I wouldn't even have thought of that.
Are you saying like live streaming when you are touring, like a property, or is it?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'd like to answer that. Yeah. Maybe we'll bring Ellis in after the AMP commercial. Which, by the way, to all of you guinea pigs out there, this is a little bit longer than what we would normally do. But as a quick answer to your question, I think it would be a serious mistake if you toured property, you streamed it or videotaped it, and made a representation that would lead someone to believe that it's your listing. I think that's a clear problem. So I think that you just need to, it would be
disclosures.
Well, I think it would be like how the residential brokers have the multiple listing services directly on their website. So you have all these listings and you want to bring people online to your website to see all these listings, but they're not your listings. As long as you're clear that you don't make any misrepresentations, I think that is probably the most important thing. So we're going to take just a short break and see a commercial from our friends over at AMP Technologies. Again, this is a test, and AMP Technologies, they provide this online software package that consolidates all this data from your building. So let's take a look at their brand new commercial. Let's see if it works. Oh, and we get to dance to this. Last thing anybody wants.
I love to dance.
Churn that butter. The 64-year-old white man dancing. It is not a pretty picture.
I'm dancing in my seat.
I'm enjoying the dancing, guys. I'm enjoying.
I like the music.
Yeah, I love the music. I think it's a great commercial. They have a new app on your iPhone that helps get you information. See, on the recorded version, we won't have this, but we will in the future. And this is a little bit long for the show. The Uber manager for asset managers. AMP
People like that word Uber.
True. There's a lot of clout. A lot of brand equity at the word.
Yeah, that's their word. Oh, for some reason, I almost kicked you off. Oh, there you go.
Thank you, Howard.
Okay, so if you want to ask, if Ryan, you want to hop on, or
Come on,
Ellis,
Ryan,
you can
I
hop
want to meet you.
on and participate in the conversation. Love to have people join.
It's better when you could just talk about them instead of just watching them. I like that better too.
Well, we can't talk behind their backs because it's online.
I wanted to meet Ryan. I wish he'd get on, but he's being a chicken.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about one of these other questions.
Yeah, maybe we could go down.
Here we go. Percentage of deals you co-brokered. It says 22% between 30 and 50%. I'm not sure I understand that response.
Eva, you do that one. I'll do the next one. No, she
I
likes
do like
this one.
So
She likes this one.
wanted to understand, obviously, how many deals you co-brokered, and the answer choices were pick one. It was less than 10% of your deals were co-brokered, between 10 and 30%, 30 to 50%, 50 to 70, 70 to 90, and over 90. And the majority of the answers said that between 30 and 50% of their deals were co-brokered. I also tallied some of these answers up, and I think, where was my co-broker? So if you add some of these answers up, 58% said that they co-brokered less than 50% of their deals. So it was interesting. What I actually thought was, oh, you have a friend. Hi.
I'm not sure I understood that.
How are you following it?
Because I'm listening and I'm going,
I wasn't even looking at you. I was looking at the infographic trying to make do with all these.
Oh, I'm kind of, what you see is what you get.
Absolutely. 22% of people said that they co-brokered about 50% of their deals. Better?
Okay.
That's a little better. What was interesting, though, was that 13% said that they co-brokered more than 90% of their deals. So almost all of their deals were co-brokered with another broker. So that's interesting because you're sharing your commissions, you're trying to, share your marketing and whatever other things, brokers, words.
So, Ellis, did you understand that? Because I did.
Hi, Ellis.
Welcome aboard,
Like a recording
Ellis.
studio? This is
Good
great.
USA.
I'm really enjoying the content here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What do you do, Ellis?
I am a agent, broker, investor.
Agent, broker, investor. Awesome. Welcome.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Glad to see you online.
Great.
See, I like your equipment.
Yeah.
One of the things I have to do, I'm using a Blue Yeti, but I need to get a different microphone because your microphone gives that depth of sound.
I was using a Blue Yeti myself, and I was recommended to switch over to some different equipment. So I got, any excuse to buy stuff right for God.
Yeah,
Well, great to
nice to meet you too.
yeah, good. You have any comments or questions?
Well, I just, I see the opportunity to be an early adopter in commercial real estate by using all this technology because you're right. I mean, commercial real estate does move very slowly, and you're right. They're not even on Twitter. And for a broker or agent who's savvy enough to kind of navigate this early and to create a presence, I think it's very, very valuable. So, the wheels are kind of spinning in my head how to perhaps, capitalize on this, but also do it in a safe and responsible way, because I hold my license with a larger company, and sometimes they're very kind of cautious about anything new, right?
Right.
So to be able to position this and present it properly, I think now, like I said, the wheels are turning. How can I do this to develop a presence in it and to be seen as an expert in that area because of simply by taking the time to put up quality content, information. I just see a huge opportunity. So thank you so much for kind of getting this going.
I think you could probably own San Jose. I don't know if that's your market or whatever.
Actually, my last name. I'm in the Southern California area. It happens all the time.
That's fine.
Okay. Well, I mean, my point is, whatever it is you do, you grab onto it and you grab those keywords and you just, bang it out in every which way you can. Twitter, Facebook, blogging. It's wide open. It is so wide open. It's
amazing
insane.
because I think in the residential space that, there's so much more competition with, people trying to do, I've seen, residential brokers on Periscope, Twitter, and it's kind of the swarm of, but in commercial, it just feels really wide open. And the more you niche it down, the more that you,
well, you're pioneer.
So if you're top of mind when you just pick a certain asset class or situation, you could own that very easily in your area.
Absolutely. I think a great example of that is Alan Buchanan.
I was just going to mention
I'd
love to see what he's doing and look at his model.
He's with Lean Associates out of Orange.
Oh, okay.
Orange County, and he's doing a wonderful job. Right? So he has his blogs. He's very active in social media, and he was definitely one of the first, a long time ago, multiple years ago at this point, he was saying how in his office he was telling the young kids to go tweet, and he was like, you guys got to get out there. Like, there's a huge opportunity. He does videos every Tuesday from his car that are 1 minute long. They're Tuesday traffic tips. And he just produces content, and he's known, and now he's an influencer in the whole community and the whole industry. So it's definitely something that is definitely open. If you look at any of the blogs and articles about like top 10 blogs about commercial real estate or top 10 people to follow on Twitter, Linda, of course, is one of them. Howard is one of them. But it's the
sometimes I'm one of them. Not everybody likes my stuff.
Sometimes
you guys are awesome. We all love you. But if you notice, it is actually the same people that are usually profiled in those articles, because there's just not that many. So
there's not that many.
Yeah. So there's, you can pinpoint people and talk to them and ask them questions on how to go about it.
Yeah. I agree with this point he's making about companies. I'm shocked at the companies that sit back and allow their company not to grab hold of a market. It's mind-boggling to me. With today's power and tools, you would think that a company would say, we're going to own this market. We're going to take over. We got 20 brokers or 15 brokers. We're just going to hit it hard. But they don't. They don't.
Well, not to mention a competitor, but Michael Bull, who started just about the same time as I did. He did it a little bit differently, but he used his platform doing radio shows.
Oh, he's fabulous.
Well, let's not get carried away.
What was the gentleman's name again?
That's his
Michael Bull.
Howard, he is in the business, though, Howard.
But see,
he's
a great example of using it to better develop his business during the recession and afterwards. He's not only an influencer, but I think it has greatly helped his real estate. I don't know this for a fact, but in the South, Atlanta, that area, I think he's doing a really good job to help promote his business of being a real estate broker. And it's very closely tied. But of course, he owned the business, he owned the brokerage, and he wasn't part of a larger operation. And you see that the larger companies have a fear factor.
They won't push they won't push innovation as quickly, right?
Yeah, it's got to be, operate. First of all, they're protecting the jobs of the marketing people. So the marketing people have to be in charge. And so they don't want their brokers to go out and do whatever they're going to do. So you're going to see the smaller people really do that. And in the legal field, I see that very much. Oh, gosh. Law firms, all they think about is liability, and perhaps appropriately so. But you'll see more people like me or more people like Michael. And you guys ought to tell him that I mentioned him. This might as well be fair. Maybe he'll pay me something. Or people like Ryan, who's a real up and comer on social media. You're going to see it the smaller people because we're more nimble. We go, okay, I'm going to go out and do something. What's the worst that can happen is they can take my home away from me.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a great point, though, about larger companies and how reluctant and cautious they are. How can we help them? How do we push them as the community of CRE tech or social media or using these tools? How do we help them get into this century, right? Start promoting themselves correctly and take advantage of these tools.
Maybe.
I think we lead by example. We're doing it, and I think it rubs off a little bit. We're all new to it.
I would think that if you could, I don't want to say if infiltrate doesn't sound right, but if you were to maybe recruit an ambassador within the organization that shows a track record of success doing it, that's all they're looking for, right? If somebody's knocking the cover off the ball with commissions, they're like, what is the guy doing?
What is he doing? Yeah.
That is
right.
Exactly.
Money talks.
That's kind of the real estate brain or the financial industry brain is that if you have success, they want to know how you're getting it. And I think if you have ambassadors within these companies, that's when the adoption and that's when the transition to technology will say, hey, so-and-so is just, knocking off. What is this person doing? And then they see the Periscope, they see the Blab, they see all these other things that, we should be doing that.
Right.
Well, I actually have an idea. I didn't think of it until you asked the question, but maybe having a template or best practices for large companies on how to get their brokers involved and, create or get a bunch of people together, lawyers, large company executive brokerages, et cetera, and say, can we put something together here that people can use as a template and then modify it themselves to suit their own needs? But here are all the things that we're concerned about and the things that we want to accomplish. Mm-hmm. So I certainly would bring in an employment attorney, a corporate attorney, and, someone like myself, who's both an attorney and have been a broker, and try to figure out a way is like, here are the things that you really need to worry about, and here's really what you want to accomplish. You want all of your people to go out there and promote the business. You want everybody to be an ambassador for the company. It
builds a brand. Yeah.
That's right. But you probably need some sort of guidelines so that people know what their limits should be.
Yeah. That would be an interesting experiment to, maybe create almost like an incubator of, maybe pick some select people within certain brokerages and say, here's a program we put together. Would you like to be in the pilot program? And really offer them support and develop this track records of success and develop the best practices. That would be a really interesting experiment.
That's a great point. And I think a lot of the times, so we're a marketing software for brokerages. So we do a lot of these events around marketing your properties. And what we hear a lot is actually, I heard you. I know social media is something I have to do. I know this is what I need to be in. Here's the realm, so on and so forth. They don't know where to start. It's an overwhelming feeling, which I agree. I'm a marketer and there's endless, right? You could do whatever you want. So I think it's even more so templated guidelines, but it's like, how do I start today? Here are like the 5 things that I could do right now. Super easy. If you fail, it's okay because it's like so minute. If you tweet something weird, it's gone in a second anyway, so it's not a big deal. So I think it's little steps that they can take to get comfortable with technology and social media.
It takes a real commitment. I'm speaking at a National Association of Realtors meeting in Orange County, and I think it's July, and they want me to talk on that topic. And then they came back to me and they said, well, we're going to give you an hour and a half. And I went,
oh wow. Hour and a half.
A lot of time.
Yeah. So what it's done for me is I'm starting to put an outline together, figuring out how to fill up an hour and a half, which is not going to be difficult, but it's going to take some work. And then I'm intending to use that outline as the basics for a book, an ebook, because it's going to be a lot of material with the intention to help people really understand the power, and that it's not as frightening as a lot of people think it is. It's surprisingly easy, but it does require a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be able to do something within an hour, but it might take you 2 or 3 hours to do it well. But it's really not that different from what we always used to do. It's going out networking and meeting people and shaking their hands. It's just virtual.
Right.
And one of the great things about it is it simply just says, instead of me going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting and meeting 50 people or shaking hands with 10 out of the 50 people, I've just opened the door to thousands of people all over the country, and I can actually develop relationships online.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Linda and I'd like to say that we've become friends, even though I don't like her. I'd like to.
Linda, I like you.
Alan Buchanan, Linda Day Harrison, Eva, now that I've learned how to pronounce her name.
Yeah.
What this is about is creating relationships, which is no different than what we've always done in person.
Yep.
You know, and Ryan Dennis, Ryan and I have known each other, and now
Ryan said he might be able to hop on at 12.
I'd be happy to jump off if he wants to hop on.
Let's see if he says he wants to.
All right.
He hasn't said.
Yeah.
Howard, let's go to the survey because I really want to see what Ellis thinks of some of these other.
Ellis, we're going to have to kick you off. Please subscribe to the shows. I can't.
You have to kick him off.
Yeah, I have to kick someone off.
Oh.
Should I kick you off? Actually, I could kick my.
Yeah, you can kick me off.
No, I'm not going to kick either of you.
You can kick me off. I don't care.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I really want. I want them to hear these other questions because they're fascinating.
Okay. I'm going to skip less than 27% of the people have. Is that Earn?
That's my favorite question.
Okay.
That's my
Linda,
favorite question.
take it away.
Don't skip that one. That one's my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite, you guys, because I think there's always been, nobody ever knows, well, you're in commercial real estate, you make a ton of money, blah, blah, blah. And so we put that on the survey. What was your gross commission income in 2015? And 27% said less than $100,000 a year. Then the next question, or the next option, was from 100 to 150. That was 23%. So basically, in essence, 50% of our respondents earn less than $150,000 a year. And then the next jump up was 150 to 200,000 a year. That was 16%. And then 300 to $500,000 a year was 12%. 200 to 300 was 9%. And then 500 to $1 million was 9% too. And then when you get into the millions, you're down to 3%. 1% was 3 to 5 million, which, obviously that's massive. I think the point is 50% of our people earn less than $150,000 a year. And I think that's important for people to realize, because I think there's always been a misconception of how much money that they're making and how much money they can spend, especially on technology initiatives and marketing. I mean, that's their gross commissions.
Is that before or after split with the brokerage company?
Well, we said gross commission income. So to me, I would imagine that would be the commission and then their commission.
Yeah.
I mean, after split.
Yes, their take home.
Yeah, their commission. Your gross commission income is the question.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I mean, still, now, obviously then you pay your taxes. There's not much left.
That's not, it depends upon where you are. If you're in, an area that is low, low income area, and the costs aren't that expensive, then $100,000 could be a lot of money. If you're living in New York City, it's barely subservient.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Right. $100,000 wouldn't get you too far. $100,000 barely gets you anywhere in Southern California.
Right. Or Chicago.
Yeah, it really depends.
Right.
You've got this thing on relationships. It says 71%.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
That's
profound.
What is that?
So the next section is these two questions. If can you scroll down a little bit? Howard, you just put your factors, put that up there. And that kind of ties into your tools also. So your factors, this is what you, the people we surveyed, care about most. And the question was, what was the biggest stimulus for winning business in 2015? And huge majority, by far landslide, 70% said that it was relationships that they formed. Even way before personal reputation, which we kind of talked about building up your brand, company brand. Again, we talked about brand. 4% said data is the biggest stimulus. So it was very interesting. It's that, 71% said that their biggest reason why they sold and made money in 2015 was because of their relationships, which kind of ties into your tools a little later when we get into that section around, again, it's such a big stimulus, but they're not using all the tools. So we could get into that a little bit. But also the next question is, what was the biggest challenge in marketing your listings? And again, a huge portion said that maximizing their exposure was their biggest challenge. So, getting themselves out there, making sure people know that they have listings, making sure that people know that they even exist. And again, if you scroll down to your tools, the answers that they provided in your tools don't support their cares about their business. So
or their efforts. Right. Their efforts are in the wrong place.
So only 27% said that they use fine list space technology like LoopNet, CoStar, Catalyst, which is absolutely beyond me because they care so much about maximizing their exposure, yet they're not using the tool to maximize their exposure.
How can you not use those tools?
It's shocking to me.
Is it because the expense is too much?
It is expensive.
Probably the cost.
Wow.
But look at email marketing, Howard. Email marketing, 18% said that that's a tool they regularly use.
Wow, that's scary. That's
18%. 13% say they use a CRM.
I bet you it would be totally different if you were talking to residential agents.
Agreed. I think so.
Know.
Well, and to me, and I'm starting to consider Facebook as a tool for commercial agents. And I had always poo-pooed that. But
well, look at relationships.
Yes.
Look at relationships and what you just said.
Yeah, I as you well know, I'm going to be going to Recon this year, and I didn't make that decision until yesterday. So all of a sudden, I have to scramble and set up interviews. And the weirdest thing happened is I'm looking through, going, okay, let me see all of the PR people that I had contacted 2 years ago, which was the last time I had been at Recon, and I get a message on Facebook from John Bessie saying, are you going to Recon? Maybe we ought to get together and do something. I don't know if you know who John Bessie is, but he's the CEO of Phillips Edison Arc, which is a big company, particularly in big retail company and owner. And I'm going, for the last couple of months, I've been thinking, if you're going to be on commercial real estate, first of all, a lot of the CEOs and C-level people, the decision makers in commercial real estate, are on Facebook. And I'm even seriously considering paid advertising on Facebook. I don't know how effective it's going to be, but I think certainly for residential agents, it ought to be. But if you can target your properties and target your content to the CEOs of the companies who are going to make the decisions to rent space or buy space or whatever, I think, you know, with a 1.5 billion people, I think you can find customers and develop relationships on Facebook, not just LinkedIn and Twitter.
For me, Facebook has been my personal pages, my family, my friends, people from high school, college kid, that kind of reunion kind of people you haven't seen in a long time, but it's starting to trickle. I'm just starting to notice what you're noticing. People that now know me because of the broker list are finding me and then saying, be my friend. And it's kind of weird. I'm like,
yes,
well,
maybe, yeah.
It's not. Yeah. I'm like, well, it's what I'm talking about isn't related to the broker list. It's my personal stuff, but I've been friending. I've been doing it. I've been saying, okay, be my friend. And it is interesting, but it's changing for me. It's just started.
Well,
but everything the broker list is its own separate fan page.
You have to keep in mind the kind of person you are and the kind of person I am, is that we have professional relationships with people and we become friends. That's where the majority of my friends are from, is from my professional relationship. So not to name drop another name, I had interviewed Albert Baritz, who's the CEO of McKinley, 3 or 4 years ago.
He's great.
And he and I are connected on Facebook, and he is what I call this social media CEO expert. I mean,
he is
all CEOs who are not technological companies. He gets and his whole company.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's just such a wonderful guy. And you become friends with these people, and
he's perfect.
And you can do this kind of stuff. What else do we have? We're going a little bit over, but
I want to ask one last question about the Facebook ads, because that is something as a marketer we struggle with. So I have an ad budget, and I have my ads on LinkedIn, I have my Google ads, I have my Twitter ads, all of those things. As a company, we're reluctant to get into the Facebook realm because of what Linda just said. That is where I talk about my family. That's where I post pictures of my dog and my baby. And that's where I go to relax and unplug from my day-to-day job and things like that. So are we as marketers, or as a company that's marketing and targeting you, stepping on your toes? Does it annoy you when I'm trying to sell you something on a Facebook ad when it's supposed to be a medium that is personal? So it's something that we struggle with, and we haven't dabbled in Facebook. We've obviously done social posting on pages and things like that, but not in terms of advertising. We're still sticking with LinkedIn, where people log into LinkedIn expecting to learn and have a business mind around them. When they log into Facebook, they're expecting to see social things. So I'm curious if anyone has any comments on that, or should we just go for it? Is it kind of merging? It's all coming one.
My comment is we're B2B people, okay? We're not B2C people. In other words, we don't do business with consumers. So a lot of the Facebook ads are for all of us. It's like, restaurants or buy this or buy that. We're different. So what I've been doing with my Facebook page is really working the B2B side. So what happens is when someone likes my Facebook page, when I say me, I mean the broker list, I will like back their company's Facebook page. Do you see what I'm saying? And then promote that. In other words, I'm not trying to say, okay, I'm going to go find Joe Smith, who works at, whatever company it is, Lee Orange, and like his page. I don't do that. I have not gone, but if they like my page, then that opens the door for me to like them. But I'm not seeking them out. And I don't know I guess it does make sense. So if you're running Facebook ads, if they're just ads, or are you going into their space? If you know the difference, what I mean, like posting and stuff like that.
I was just saying ads. I wouldn't want to go in deep into the realm and actually
right. That's what I mean. That's creepy. I mean, I just think it's kind of creepy, but I could be wrong. I don't know. because it's your family and stuff. It's like, you know, your dog and
Let
your,
me tell
all
you
that
how
kind of
I'm
stuff.
using it and considering using it on Facebook. First, I have a commercial real estate page, and there are some commercial real estate groups. And what I do, I believe in the 80-20 rule. 80% of your social media marketing should be content, and 20% should be advertising. So really what I am considering doing is advertising my content, my videos, my live blabs, you know, my videos, etc. So
Right.
I'm throwing out content to people.
Well, you try it, Howard. You try it for a month. If it works, good.
Yeah,
If it doesn't,
well, I think you really have to try it for a longer time, because I think that there's just a learning curve to make it optimum. So you have to pretty much make a commitment and go, I'm not likely to be successful in the first 3 or 4 months. As long as I'm committed to trying different things, trying to figure out how it can work, then I think that's
Right.
the right way of doing it. But if people start watching the videos, that's helpful to me. My business is a little bit different. But then I can go ahead, and when people who don't know me, start following my page, and then learn that I'm also an attorney and that I can negotiate leases and handle litigation, yada, yada, yada. They're not so, and if 80% of it is content, then all that they're getting on my advertising, other than the content, is, okay, Howard's an attorney and he can negotiate.
Right.
right.
And I think that that's a very gentle approach to follow. And I think it's worth the advertising, you know, paid advertising, if you do it that way. And Mary,
Howard, read what Mary
Yeah.
said, and I hope Mary gets on with us. Jump on, Mary. We'd love to have you.
Mary Ostrander, I think.
We're all guinea pigs in here learning how to use this, and I think it's the coolest tool in the world that Howard's showing us.
In marketing for CRE, regardless of B2B focus, it's very important to use Facebook and other platforms to express your business story and culture. Right on.
Agreed.
I mean, that is so said well. I'm going to plagiarize it in the future, Mary.
He's going to write a blog post. He's going to write a Facebook ad about it.
Mary, you are right on. Absolutely. And here comes Ryan Dennis.
Yay!
Hello.
All right.
All right.
Wait a second.
But, hey, how's it going, guys? I love the content. Really do.
Awesome.
This is great.
Good.
Oh,
Good.
you're so sweet. We're so glad to
This is
have
awesome.
you.
This is fantastic. How collaborative.
Yeah. So
It's great.
absolutely.
I'm giving you a bunch
Oh, I'll
of
take
love
it. I'll
here.
take all that.
My little, like,
Yeah, he's already got almost as much love as I've gotten.
He's a
That's what I've been
superstar.
all the time.
Oh, man.
He's a star.
Yeah.
I had to jump in when you guys were talking about Mary's comment, because I couldn't agree more. I mean, we all have to kind of give up a little bit of our personality and our personal profile to be faces. I know Howard and Linda, very familiar there. Their faces are just as famous as their logos. So from that perspective on Facebook, it is interesting is how much, do we have to give up of ourselves in order to continue to advertise and reach these mediums? But you see the sacrifice comes back, because Howard's found the same thing on Facebook that I found on Twitter, which is that if I reach out to a CEO of a company, somebody I should not be speaking to at all, on Twitter, they'll actually respond. If because it's that we're that early of adopters on it. So if we are able to get level access to these media, why wouldn't?
Oh, you're breaking up.
Ryan, you on wireless?
Oh yeah, I'm on company Wi-Fi. But what I meant to say was, we are early adopters of this social media chatting and collaboration, and even something like this. So if we have executive level access now to these people, because the CEOs have the most knowledge about their companies, their firms, and the marketplace.
True.
So if we can give ample to our teams, I'm sorry, am I still breaking up?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Okay. I think it was because I was giving you so many props.
You're so profound.
Thank you so much for the love. I'll take it. But yeah, I definitely agree. I think that if you jump on these mediums now, you're gonna get what you put out of it. What you put into it. more than you can imagine, probably.
Look at how we met, Ryan.
Absolutely.
Ryan, tell us what
Linda,
you do.
Linda showed me the ropes.
I don't know you personally, and for other people that are listening in, what do you do?
Yeah.
Sure.
What do you do? Tell us.
Well, I wear 1 million hats at Genea, but generally I focus on marketing and business development and operations. And right now I'm just trying to connect with other commercial real estate technology companies, understanding the landscape and understanding the potential for us to collaborate with them. Going to conferences like CRE Tech Intercept and even Disrupt CRE, you can tell that a lot of these CRE tech companies, they want to change their services. They want to grow their platforms. They want to add on new services to the transactions that they make with the big JLL and CBRE companies. So what I'm finding is that, my job is becoming more and more about just connecting people, just literally sending an email. Hey, you should chat with this person. And that's how I landed on the phone with wonderful people like Linda and Howard. And these people have showed me the ropes and how to, speak to people the right way. Linda, if you just follow the commercial real estate, Linda's everywhere, and she's everywhere. And it takes courage to jump into these new mediums, and Howard too. It takes courage to jump out and say, I'm going to try this Blab thing.
Either that or stupidity.
Yeah. So at Genea, I'm trying to get the message out about our company and what we do.
What is that message?
Yeah.
Take 30 seconds, because I want everybody to know. I want to encourage people.
Give us your commercial.
Yeah, I want to encourage people to come on the show, because it's really a very simple, free way to let people know what it is that you do and what your company does. So you got 30 seconds.
Okay. Geez.
Boy, that was a 30 seconds.
Sorry. Genea provides cloud-based software and services for the commercial real estate industry, mainly for office properties, and we also service retail spaces, as well as we might be able to service medical healthcare office spaces, as well as universities. So that's really exciting, and we create value-added tools for property teams to manage their tenant-related services. So we have tenant-facing automation tools that give the end users, tenants in office buildings or medical office buildings or universities, the ability to turn on their after-hours HVAC services, turn on their lights, the ability to have an audit trail and a transparent meter reading, system that lets you know how their meters for electricity, water, whatever the case may be, are being billed. And we also provide building apps and property services. So we build apps, we build websites for properties. So if you're a property manager, you use Genea's services, you're basically getting another arm onto your property management team. We are a partner. I've written an article about this. It's called Property Partners, Not Vendors. Property managers need as much help as they can get. So what our job is to take as much of their workload off as we can. And that includes facilities managers, that includes office managers for huge campuses or for a small retail property.
That was a very long 30 seconds.
Excuse me.
No, it's okay. I was riveted.
Make sure that you're on another show, because I want to ask you some other questions, so that people have rather than you just described it from the 1,000-foot level. I'd like you to describe it in the future, where people go, oh, that's what they do. Because what you just did gave us the spiel.
Well, you asked for the spiel, Howard.
Well, I know.
It was a big
I said
spiel.
a 30-second spiel. It's like the elevator speech.
Yeah.
You got to get right to it. And I'm not criticizing you, but maybe
Ryan,
that's part of the lesson.
If I'm a property manager, are you telling me that my building purchases this? So this is a purchase by the building. The asset buys this?
It's a purchase by the owner.
Well, the building owner.
Absolutely. It's the building's asset. So
it's right. The building buys product from you. So you want the managers to buy it on behalf of the building.
It becomes a human amenity, because you're getting 24/7 service with all of the software.
Right.
So if you have a problem with your air conditioning, you have somebody you can call. You don't have to be alone in the dark at 6 o'clock at night and wondering where the property manager or building engineer is. You have a team. So it's about human responsiveness.
Right.
Great.
Is there an ideal property size you work with, like a building that doesn't have on-site staff, or a building that has, in other words, if you have a big building that has 24-hour coverage, would that be a good fit, or is it more for smaller buildings that don't have any coverage?
Well, we actually usually work with office buildings that are usually 100,000 square feet or larger, primarily because those properties typically have tenants that work late hours, accounting firms, law firms. Howard knows all about that. And if you have those kind of
Right.
tenants, they need access whenever they can get it, and they want to build back their tenants accurately. So we have verifiable data that inputs right into Yardi and MRI. So we automate the whole process.
Yeah, that ties in very closely to a lot of the shows that I'm going to be doing. And the one show I just did with the Institute of Market Transformation, talking about submetering and controlling all of that. And I'm currently...
He could be an advertiser.
I'm currently negotiating a lease where the lease is not particularly clear as to what after-hours air conditioning HVAC is. And that's extremely, extremely important. So I'm going to my client going, do you intend to, because I know that as a lawyer, I've spent many a Sunday in the office without air conditioning. You can't open the windows, and I'd be working away just schwitzing like crazy. Ryan, I have a question for you. What did you think of those commercials that I ran? Do you think that was cool?
I love the commercials. They're high resolution. They've got great sound design. They're wonderful, and they're congruent with the messages and the content you guys are bringing here in person.
Super. So what can I do to get Jania to be a sponsor?
Oh, man. Well, you're going to have to woo me a little bit more. Maybe take me out to dinner, my friend.
There you go. Now, wait a minute, Howard, because we're running over, don't you think we should at least do one more question about the tools they're using?
Yes.
You don't have to get rid of
we'll keep Ryan on there.
Yeah, comment.
Yes.
Can you see can you open another tab, Eva, and see the survey?
I'm gonna exit out, guys. I really
okay, Ryan. I'll speak to you later, buddy.
Ryan, are you going to San Francisco?
I might be there.
Ryan,
I might be there. I'll follow up.
You might be there.
You'll hear me on my Twitter about the CRE Tech Intersection.
Because yes. Are you coming in?
I'll definitely be at the IBREA conference in May in Newport Beach.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to San Francisco.
Ryan and I are both panelists in that conference in Newport Beach.
Good.
You got to come out.
Well, I hope I meet you in person, Ryan.
Absolutely, all three of you. Have a great day, and thanks for bringing such great content to commercial real estate.
Thanks, Ryan.
you.
Okay,
bye.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to definitely be at CRE Tech Intersect and Recon. I think both of you are on it, where Build Out is there. Actually, Build Out is giving away 3 prizes of $1,000 cash at Recon. Wow. So if you're at Recon, come to our booth. We have an awesome giveaway. We're going to give you little buttons with a unique number. You put it on your lanyard, and if you find your match with someone has the same number as you at Recon, you come to our booth, you win $1,000 cash.
Oh my gosh.
Right there.
Eva.
Now, Eva,
you might
go ahead.
Might be interested. I'm going to be there, and I'm working with Quantum Listing on that. And you may be interested in being a sponsor on the videos of my interviews from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about it for sure. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, before you go, I want to know if you guys are going to come. We're doing a meetup. I don't know if you heard about it. Did David tell you about it, Howard?
Yeah, you sent me half a dozen emails about.
Are you guys going to be around
I'm
on
not there
Sunday?
yet. I'm actually in Dominican Republic, so
I'll be there.
Oh no!
I'll be there.
Is anybody from Build Up going to be around?
Yeah,
Sunday?
I'll let them know. Vishu will be there. Everyone will.
Would you please? Let them know because we'd love them to come. Okay, let's get back to the survey.
Let me just quickly answer Ellis's question here.
Where's the meetup?
The meetup. We're having a meetup. It's really anybody. It's all of us friends, techie, commercial real estate people that Linda knows and I know, and it's going to be in Las Vegas on the evening of the 21st. That's Sunday evening, isn't it?
22nd.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you're interested in going to Recon, I mean, that's why we're doing it then, because a lot of us go to Recon. So, Alice, if you'd like to, and you can send us a question and whatever, and we'll hook you up for that. All right, let's move on and let's do at least one more question. I should have.
If you follow our Twitter stream, we'll be tweeting about the meetup, and that'll be on Sunday, and it's going to be at the Aria at the Sports Bar at 6 p.m.
It's a great sports bar, by the way.
Good.
Okay. So what are we going to kind of move this up a little bit here?
Linda, which one do you want to talk about?
I don't want to miss out on the tools because I think it's amazing. But I think just quickly, we asked what social media tools did you use in 2015? 32% said they use LinkedIn.
Only.
I mean, to me, that just blew me away. 18%.
Good or bad?
Bad. Bad.
Yeah, and out of those 32%, what you don't know is how many people actually use it efficiently.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're all at fault there.
Yeah, that's right, including myself.
Right. But then it goes down, it drops to Facebook 18, Twitter 15, which makes me cry my eyes out because I love Twitter so much. WordPress 8%, YouTube 8%, and whoever was talking about, Ryan talked about videos. 8% said they use YouTube for marketing in 2015, and then it just drops like a rock down to Instagram for it's just terrible. Like, but to me, the LinkedIn and was so shocking to me. 32%,
especially because 71% said they care about relationships. Yeah. Their biggest stimulus for business is relationships, and they're not utilizing the tools that are freely available to them.
And 37% said maximizing exposure is their biggest challenge, yet most of them are not using social media. That was the big thing.
It sounds like my daughter. It's like, oh, I can't do this. Why not? Because I haven't tried it yet.
How about they don't want to learn? They don't want to learn.
Learning is a little painful. Yeah. And I have had to learn that not everybody is like me. My life is trying to do things different from other people. So my appetite for learning is almost insatiable, which does affect my ability to focus on the things that I have to otherwise do. I go, oh, I can learn this here. So there's got to be a good balance. And most people, I was on a Blab yesterday and we were talking about using Blab, and the sad thing was, and we all agreed on it, is that this stuff is really easy. But you know what? 90% of the people out there are not going to use it.
Yeah. Evo, do you want to talk about your workday real quick so we could wrap this up?
And I want to point out Ryan's comment, shocked about those numbers. The saddest part is they could also be inflated by the number of people who have an account on those social media sites, yet barely ever use it, which is exactly Howard's point. And absolutely.
Yeah. True.
And yet they still, it's just, what's interesting though about that is we advertise this survey basically only on social media.
Right. It's the only way we promoted it.
And through email marketing. So these are supposed to be the most connected people, the biggest users of technology and tools, because that's the way we advertised the survey. And yet these numbers are so low. So
if you would have asked me before the survey and said, what do you think, how many LinkedIn people there would be? I would have thought it would have been like 70%.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody's, even my son's on LinkedIn.
Yeah, but there's still people not using it.
Yeah.
We asked them what they used. They might be on it, but they're not using it.
Which one did you regularly use or something like that? Yeah.
Right. What did you use? I mean, I think a lot of them don't use it.
Well, I stopped using LinkedIn as much. Originally, LinkedIn was my tool of choice. And that's where I had my great expansion and marketing. But they've changed it so much that for a while, it really wasn't very effective for me. And now I'm learning some of the new tools, and it's becoming more effective for me. So, but Twitter, I love using Twitter. So Twitter is like nonstop for me, but it's really disappointing. It's almost like I'm talking mostly to myself and Linda and Alan. And it's like, and that's why.
You guys all
and now, Eva, what are you talking about, Eva?
Well, are we connected? We just recently
are definitely connected, Howard. I retweet you.
Howard, Mary asked you a question. Mary Ostrander, how are you using LinkedIn more now, Howard?
Well, I've got this issue where before, what was the program? I had a I have something, on my bar on Chrome where I can share my stuff on LinkedIn, but I've been having a lot of problems with it where it's not allowing me to share to groups on LinkedIn. And I'm a member of 50 groups. I think that's the maximum that they have. So I'm not sure where that problem is, but LinkedIn has become more Twitter-like.
Yeah.
And I'm starting
and
to
Facebook.
Yeah. So it's becoming something where I'm paying more attention to the stream on Facebook, and again, starting to participate more in conversations.
Right.
I'm also using a new tool called Sniply, and Linda snipped me. I have to be careful on how I said that because my wife had me snipped too, but that was so I'm using those tools more, and I'm finding LinkedIn becoming more effective again for me. So I really have to sit down and learn or relearn LinkedIn and the new tools, because I intend to use that more, and that may turn out to be much more effective for me than Twitter, because Twitter has been effective. I have many more followers on Twitter, but even that's somewhat deceptive because it's a lot of marketers and techies. I think it's really what is more interesting on LinkedIn is rather Twitter is who I follow, because I follow a lot of people who know a lot about social media, and that's where I learn a lot. So that's probably more indicative. Let's do one last thing here. I was going to say quit at 12:30, but let's talk about your workday.
Yeah. Last thing we'll go over, this will be a quick one, but we wanted to see how the brokers spend their time, kind of tying back into your tools and then your workday. So we asked, how many of you have administrative support or marketing support, since we kind of focused on both? And staggering numbers said 57% said yes, they do have administrative support. What's interesting is how many hours per week did you spend on admin tasks like updating CRM, deal tracking, client reports, billing? And like 80% said up to 10 hours a week was spent on admin tasks. So not only do they have admins, but they're still spending so much time doing these, data entry or these admin tasks. And same with marketing tasks. How many hours per week did you spend on marketing tasks? So creating your materials, creating and updating property listings, social media, lead generation, things like that. Like 86% said up to 10 hours a week. So so much time is being wasted because they're not utilizing all the tools that are, out there for them.
Absolutely. That's cool. Well, we're going to begin wrapping this up now. One of the things that I'd like to mention, by the way, is I have another show coming up on Tuesday with Peter Morris. This is the third in a series that he is co-hosting with me, that we will be talking about maximizing rents for landlords. And this is not just the language in the lease. As a matter of fact, that's probably going to be the smallest portion of this discussion. Peter is very, very experienced. He has more designations at the end of his name than I could even dream of repeating. But he's talking about basically positioning the landlord as part of the marketing cycle so that you create value into the tenant. So instead of the tenant focusing on what the rent costs are, he tries to position the landlord so that the tenant is considering the value to him. What am I going to get out of it? How much more money are we going to make? And that is all planned as part of the marketing process. You don't wait till the last second, and you don't just provide, here's how many people, walk by this retail spot. This isn't just what the traffic is, but there's a lot more to it. And we'll be talking a lot about that. We just lost Eva. Eva, I'm so sorry. Maybe try to make it back. So, yeah. Well, we made it through almost the whole show. So we're going to basically play the closing credits. I'd like to thank Eva Baska and Linda Day Harrison of the broker list. Eva is with Build Out. And tell everybody, if you get to see this, that's probably Eva again. Yeah.
I hope she comes back.
We lost you there.
I know. I was like, everyone paused,
There she
but
is.
it was my problem.
Yeah, okay. So we were just mentioning and thanking you, Eva, for joining us.
Thank you.
This was really, I got to tell you, I have more fun doing this stuff than anything else. And
We should do it all the time,
I'm doing
Howard.
on average about 2 shows a week. I have in case you missed it, the
Oh, okay.
ICYMI. The last one I did, I don't think I did a very good job of it, but that's basically where I go over I do it every 2 weeks, and I go over the news from the last couple of weeks. And I need to do a little bit better job of it and prepare myself a little bit better. And I should be able to just put it up on the screen.
Okay.
But I give attribution and credit to people who, wrote the articles or the posts. And it's usually something that I find interesting, or I hope other people will find it interesting so that they come on and comment. The whole idea is to have a conversation. And it's more.
Is it a standing
it's every
day
2
and
weeks.
time, Howard?
It's every 2 weeks.
I know, but is it a certain day? Because if you could stick to that, we could promote it better. Like if you said it's the second Thursday or
You're
the
probably right.
first
Again, this
Wednesday.
is all a learning process for me. And
I know, but if you could give us a fixed day and time, we'll join it if it's in our
that's
calendar.
a pretty good idea. Yeah. And I want people to promote it on your own site. I want you to embed it. The embed is really, really simple, particularly if you use WordPress. I mean, if first of all, I'm not in charge of our, website, but I can enter the code myself in the embed code, and you just go to our page. And if you don't want to participate, you can just watch it. So you should be able to invite people and saying, hey, Howard's doing this show, or we're doing this show, and you can watch it on our site. You don't have to join anything. Just go to this page and watch it. And as long as I provide good quality content, and that remains to be seen, but that's my goal, is to be somewhat entertaining and provide information that is helpful for people in the commercial real estate industry, then hopefully it'll be of benefit to everybody. So,
Right. I see this tool as being a potential for doing even a webinar, because now that you can show another screen above you, you could literally be a company like whatever does in her company and show the build out screen and talk, and then have people come in and ask questions.
There are other things in terms of capturing email addresses for your mailing list. See, for me, if I send I send my page, there's this brief pop-up that says, you want to join our mailing list? And we get 25 or more people a week who join our mailing list. I'm pretty happy with that. But what I can do is use something like Eventbrite and connect Blab to Eventbrite. And Eventbrite, since I don't charge, Eventbrite doesn't charge me, and I can start capturing email addresses. So there are things that you can do on this that I've barely touched on, and that really makes me feel good, because
is this owned by Twitter?
I'm not
Howard?
sure, but it's very, very, Ryan, these are all amazing capabilities. Is this on Twitter? I don't know if it's owned by
Yeah.
Twitter. I know Periscope is owned by Twitter. I don't know that Blab is, but it's very closely intertwined with Twitter.
Okay. Because I think it's really better than anything I've seen. Hangouts, that's so
I'm having
complicated,
less.
it's crazy.
I was having some technological problems, and I'm having less and less of those technological problems. And these
Good.
guys over at Blab are guys and gals, should I say? They are continually improving it. And you know, at this stage, it's
That's
still
great.
free. Ultimately, it won't be.
Right.
I imagine. But this is just such a tremendous tool. This is what I've been dreaming about.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
as I said, the
exactly.
ability to do commercials, you know, these short little commercials that really shouldn't bother anybody too much. And that way I can continue to provide the content without charging people to watch it.
Right.
You know.
Right. Well, you've done a great job, and we are so fortunate that you allowed us to talk about our survey.
Thank you
How
so
about
much,
it,
Howard. It was a wonderful venue, and we got so much interaction out of it. Thank you
Right.
to everyone that hopped on and
Right.
commented. It
Well,
was
thank you
awesome.
very much.
Yeah.
We're going to do the closing
Thanks.
credits, and then I'm going to stop the recording, and then we can say goodbye shortly after that.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
And that's a wrap. Thank you very much, everybody.